Hello, my name is Chris and today I want to share with you the 4 most valuable lessons that I have learned about mental health, about managing my own mental health and about managing the way that I interact with others who are dealing with their own mental health challenges. Part of these lessons are based, so let me rephrase that, these lessons are partly based on things I've learned while training in psychotherapy, counselling and hypnotherapy. But really they're just things that make absolute good sense to me as a person who has battled with my own depression and anxiety on and off for most of my adult life really. Before we get into it today, just a very quick announcement. So this YouTube channel currently has around 4,500 and something-ish subscribers, which to me is amazing. So when I first started this YouTube channel, I was convinced that nobody would care about anything that I had to say. So the fact that over 4,000 people do surprises me, amazes me and delights me every single day. So first of all, for those of you who have followed along my journey, thank you so much for your support. Second of all, the point that I'm trying to get to, and I will get to it, is that I figured when we get to 5,000 subscribers, that's a pretty good milestone to celebrate. And we'll celebrate with doing a kind of live stream hangout thing here on YouTube. So if you do get any kind of value from my videos and you haven't yet subscribed, then please consider doing so and we can all hang out together very soon. Having said all that, I will finish the waffle. We'll get on with the video. The first most valuable lesson I learned is that when people are struggling with their mental health, the reason that they don't reach out is not because they don't know that they should or that they can. More often than not, it's because depression and anxiety can be so utterly paralyzing that they're just simply not able to reach out for help. Quite often, we say with the very best of intentions, if you are struggling, reach out. If you are having a hard time with your mental health, pick up the phone. If you are dealing with depression or anxiety right now, I'm here, call me, text me, let's talk. Reach out. And we say this and it comes from a place of kindness and love and compassion. But it overlooks the fact that the reason we don't reach out is not because we don't know that it's an option for us. I don't mean to sound flippant about this, but I don't believe anybody sat at home feeling completely depressed and then somebody says, you should reach out. And then that depressed person goes, wow, I never thought of that. Everything's ace. Most of us know that it's, we should, but there is something about depression and anxiety and mental health struggles in general that make it so utterly impossible almost to do that reaching out. So as kind as it is to say to someone, reach out, I'm here for you, I think it's even better to be the person doing the reaching out to those people who aren't able to reach out to us. And check in, how are you doing? I get it. I know that when you're depressed you might not want to phone somebody or text someone, so I'm phoning and texting you. And you can tell me if you're depressed or not. I'm not going to phone somebody up and go, hey, are you depressed? No? Okay, great. But I can check in and someone say, how are you doing? And it makes it that little bit easier. But to check in regularly, or at least semi-regularly. I have, a small handful of people who even now will just check in on me from time to time. Hey Chris, how are you doing? Most of the time I'm doing great, but I always appreciate those check-ins because it makes life so much easier for me if I do need help or support, that I can say, actually, not doing so great, and I'm not in a place where I can reach out, so I am glad that you reached out to me. The second most important lesson that I've learned about mental health is that almost all of us are doing the very best that we can with what we have. And that just because we make a decision which later turns out to be unhelpful or even harmful doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us or that we have personally done anything wrong, because we made that decision based upon the resources, the knowledge and the mental energy that we had at the time. And I say this, and it's so important to remember that if we make a decision to pick up a cigarette, to drink, to take drugs, to overeat in times of personal crisis, it is not because we are bad, we are wrong, we are weak, we are stupid. There was simply a part of us, a part of our minds, the original primitive caveman mind, which saw that as the best way to keep us safe. Just because it turned out that the caveman brain got it wrong doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with us. This relapse we have, this setback, this unhelpful decision that we make, ultimately proves to be a lesson we can learn from. Well, okay, I was trying to quit smoking and I relapsed. But it's okay because I know why I relapsed and I know what to do the next time I get into that situation so that I don't have to relapse again. Well, I was out and I was stressed and this thing happened to me and I ended up engaging in some kind of self-sabotaging behaviour. But it's okay because it was a lesson learned. And it's far easier and far more kind to treat these things as lessons that we can learn rather than to beat ourselves up about it. I talk all the time about the big stick. We have a relapse or a setback, or we make some decision that is unhelpful, and then we pick up this big stick and we start to bash ourselves over the head, going, you're stupid, you're bad, you're wrong, blah, blah. The more we do this, the more that is going to hurt, the more pain and suffering we then have to deal with. And I think about this so much, it's so important for me to remember, because it reminds me to act with kindness and compassion, not only to other people, but to myself. To treat myself the way I would expect to treat other people. On a related note, this makes me think about the kind of language that I use when I talk to myself and the things that I say and the stories that I tell myself about who I am and the labels I put on myself. Good example, earlier this morning I was cleaning my bathroom because that is the kind of rock and roll lifestyle I lead these days. I was cleaning my bathroom, it's got to be done right, and I needed some supplies, some cleaning supplies out of the kitchen. So I left the bathroom, I walked to the kitchen, I got completely distracted in the kitchen and walked back to the bathroom without the cleaning supplies. And when I realised this, the words that came out of my mouth were, oh, you idiot. And then I immediately had to stop myself and go, actually Chris, you're not an idiot. You got distracted, it's fine, it's 30-second journey to the kitchen and back, no harm done. And we can do somebody texted me the other day because we were supposed to be meeting on Zoom and they were late and they went, oh my goodness, I'm terrible. So no, you're not terrible, you're in the middle of something, it is fine. So I have to try and speak, the words that I speak to myself and the labels that I put on myself about who I am, let them be kind and compassionate. And if I do occasionally slip up and call myself an idiot because I left a sponge in the kitchen, I can pull myself up on that and go, do you know what, Chris, actually, you're not an idiot, just very easily distracted. The third most valuable lesson that I learned was about the value of kindness. to always strive to be kind as much as I possibly can in every situation. There is, a popular meme that goes around social media, and it says something like, always be kind because you don't know what somebody else is going through. And I think that's absolutely true. There can be times when somebody may not be acting in a way that we agree with, or that aligns with our values, or that seems appropriate or whatever. And it's very tempting to want to tell them off and put them in the place and say, hey, you should act a certain way. But we don't necessarily always know what's going on in that person's life. Great example of this. I was out for a run, and I'm running down the street, and someone's coming towards me, and they're walking. It's a very narrow street, like cars blocking you in a little bit. Plus there's this, I don't know if you've heard, there's this thing called COVID, so we need to keep our distance from one another. And they're walking towards me, and they've got their headphones in and texting on their phone. And I'm trying to find space, I'm trying to find a way that this is going to work. And I tried shouting to them, excuse me, let's work this, let's navigate getting around. And they were just completely absorbed in their own world. And for a second, I'm not going to lie to you, I wanted to tell them off. I wanted to say, don't worry, I'll move so that you don't have to. Right? I wanted to, I was annoyed about this. And then before anything came out of my mouth, my next thought was, hang on, you don't know what they're texting. For all you know, Christopher, they've just had the worst news of their life. And they're trying to process it, they're trying to reply to a text. You don't know what that person's had. So instead, you know what, it's fine, I'll make my own way round. And I do this even in situations when it may seem that people don't deserve to be treated kindly. Because honestly, one of the values that I treasure the most and that I try to live my life by is that the way that we treat people says more about us than it says about them. If I treat you badly, that's not about you, that's about me. So I am not kind to people because they are nice people. I am kind to people because I want to be a nice person. I've kind of veered off a little bit from mental health, but for me it kind of fits in. Because I don't know what people are doing and why they're doing it. So if I'm just kind and compassionate to them in every situation, it's definitely going to be more helpful to them than if I tell them off or shout or yell or act like an arsehole towards them, because then they go away thinking I'm the arsehole, and then they act badly to me, and we just created this spiral of negativity. Finally, the fourth most important lesson, and this absolutely comes from my training as a counsellor, is to never underestimate the value of listening. And I mean really listening, holding space for someone, being there to listen to what they have to say and to really hear and understand what they're saying, or at least try to. Not listening just so I can think of, waiting for my turn in the conversation. Not listening whilst I'm simultaneously thinking about what advice I could give you, tell you how to fix the problem that you're having, even though you've never asked me for advice and never asked me to fix the problem. I see this all the time. You tell somebody I've got this challenge, this problem going on, and they go, well, here's what you should do. Hold on, I didn't ask for your advice. I appreciate that you're coming from a place of kindness and compassion, but I just want you to hear me. I just need to feel as if I am being listened and heard. It makes the world of difference. Over this past year, I've been other people's counsellor, and I have been, You know, I have my own counsellor. I go to therapy every couple of weeks and speak to a counsellor, and it makes the world of difference to feel that somebody is actually just listening with no agenda other than to be there for that person. Another great example of this. Years ago, when I used to go to 12-step meetings, I was getting ready to go, and being the clever kind of guy I am, I'd forgotten to turn the stove off on my oven. And I pressed my hand on the oven and burned it. Now you're starting to get some kind of idea of what my home life is like. I forget things, I've got to, you know, burn myself, all kinds of stuff happens. Anyway, so I burned my hand, and my friend Sam is a nurse, and I phoned her up, I'm like, what do I do? She tells me what to do. I wrap it, you know, I follow her advice, I wrap my hand in a cold towel, I go to the 12-step meeting, I do a share, and at the end of my sharing I say, oh, and by the way, if you're wondering why my hand is wrapped in this towel, I burned it on the oven. But, and this is very important, I said, but don't worry, my friend is a nurse, she's told me what to do, I've got it under control. Nobody heard that last bit. Nobody heard me say, don't worry, I've got it under control. What they heard was, I've burned my hand. Chris has burned his hand. I must tell him what to do. I must be helpful. I must fix this. If there were 16 people at that meeting, I got 16 different opinions and pieces of advice about what I should do with my burned hand. At one point, this is not a lie, at one point 2 people were in the kitchen arguing about what I should do. And I'm like, it's fine, I've got it, don't worry. But I wasn't heard, I wasn't listened to. And when we're not listened to, it can just make us feel insignificant. It can make us feel as if we don't matter. It can make us feel that we don't know what we're doing. You know, if everyone's always telling me what to do, I'm like, I've got it. No, you need to do this instead. It makes me feel like an idiot, even though I'm not, right? So never underestimate the value of listening, because so many mental health problems, so many of our anxieties and our hang-ups come from being ignored, feeling like we don't matter, feeling like we're not valued. Just that simple thing of, I'm here, I'm listening, I ain't going to fix it for you. Trust me. It can make an absolute world of difference. Kind of veered off from mental health and just talked about interacting with other people, but you can forgive me for that, right? Be kind and compassionate to me. Be kind and compassionate in the comments as you let me know how you're getting on with your journey. I always do love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. As I say, I really value your support, and if you haven't yet subscribed and you do find my YouTube videos helpful, subscribing means that you get more of them. I get that lovely external validation. Everyone's happy. And when we get to 5,000 subscribers, we'll do a live chat thing. Okay, I'm going to stop waffling once again. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next week. Goodbye.